What are the non-obvious signs of a smart person? Sort of the exact opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, exactly so. Socrates was the original thinker here though. Roughly, am I the wisest man? I do not know everything. But the fact I know that I do not know everything makes me the wisest man. Couldn't leave it at that. The exact quote is, I am wiser than this man, for neither of us appears to know anything great and good, but he fancies he knows something although he knows nothing, whereas as I do not know anything, so I do not fancy I do. In other words, I don't guess about things, I accept what I don't know. That makes me wiser than those who guess. Lateral thinking, the ability to think about some subject and then switch gears effortlessly into some other subject and keep them tied together in some way. This can lead to some ambling conversations, but that's always fascinating. If we say smart as in creative, some of the folks I've worked with will in a conversation work through the pros and cons and explore, or be able to explore, ideas in some depth with just the conversation, as opposed to doing next steps they dive right in and want to get to something cool, and they can do so beyond some surface level conversation. This is amazing when you take a smart person from another field and explain your problem to them. Oftentimes they will have some tried and true method that they can offer up that's novel to you because your discipline/experience is sufficiently different from theirs. If we talk about real nuggets of gold, this would be among them. Not usually very assertive on sometimes their area of expertise. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with super smart people who know some subject matter cold, and will let some lesser opinion take hold because they didn't assert themselves. I've seen people leave firms rather than have to deal with some bad manager or coworker who had less good ideas but who is more vocal about them. So often really smart people will take some non-trivial measure of joy in work which most other people find ridiculously boring or tedious. Talking to a dumb person will make you feel smart. Talking to a smart person will make you feel dumb. Talking to a very smart person will make you feel smart. I was just talking with my wife about my CEO and how he shares a trait with my uncle, who is also a CEO. It's one I've observed with a lot of smart and successful leaders. The common trait is that whenever I speak with them, they make me feel really smart. They genuinely come off like they learned something from me. It makes me feel good. It's a hell of a skill. We were discussing if it's something that can be learned and practiced. From what I can tell, it's about being honest about what you don't know, realizing when someone may know more about something, asking a lot of good questions, and expressing gratitude that the other person shared their knowledge with you. Pattern recognition. Part of the reason smart people throughout history are well known is because they discovered something new and figured out how to maximize its potential. Darwin was a guy who discovered a bunch of islands with slightly different animals. He then collected and analyzed that data to come up with the theory of evolution, which was largely correct. Einstein's theory of relativity was based off of his observation that physics acted on everything equally. He figured out that exceptions were because of the way high-speed objects interact with the universe's speed limit, the speed of light. He recognized these exceptions by gathering them and recognizing the pattern between them all, then created his theory of relativity based on that. I'd say that the faster and/or deeper a person can recognize patterns, the smarter they are. I was going to say the ability to understand systems, but this is a better way to put it. People who can observe and manipulate large systems of information, money, people, etc., keep them running, and make them more efficient are the people we hear about for pretty much everything, and it has everything to do with pattern recognition. A physicist understands physical systems. A civil engineer understands civil systems/physics like roads and buildings, a political scientist understands government, a banker understands finance, and the most successful people in all those sectors are the ones who can figure out and manipulate these systems. It even works in the arts, like art and literature, which involves a lot of networking, and that means coordinating social media presence, attending/hosting events, and getting the work seen. Taylor Swift is known for being a very domineering leader of her own team. Her brand doesn't get away from her and she manages it tightly, and she's one of the most consistently popular musicians. Systems are everything, and pattern recognition is the ability to build them. Someone who goes to work every day with no understanding of what other people around them are doing, why they're doing what they do, etc., much less how to optimize their own and their company's performance are what I was considered to be unintelligent, unless of course it's intentional. I feel like I can't think of an answer for this one without immediately thinking of multiple contradictory examples. I've spent my entire adult life in academia, and there really isn't a unifying characteristic of all of the highly successful people I have met. I suppose if I were trying to get a sense of someone in an interview setting, I would look for evidence of active listening and ability to ask critical questions on the fly. That said, I know some pretty smart people who are perpetually distracted listeners. I think that's because our definition of smart is so nebulous. Is being smart about knowing lots of things? Is it about being a good learner, or a quick learner? Do smart people have innate talent, or have they worked for years to achieve their success? Is having academic intelligence smart? What about emotional intelligence? You might call someone who can memorize things quickly smart, but you'd also call someone who can work out problems quickly smart. It's smart to take a long time to figure out a clever solution to the same problem. Does studying make you smart? Take two straight A students. One studies for hours, and the other is able to pick up subject material quickly in class with little supplemental work. Which one is smarter? I think smart is a catch-all word for describing a lot of different mental states and dispositions, but, especially during grade school, it's reduced down to certain kinds of success. Admitting when they're wrong, updating their opinions/beliefs when presented with proper evidence. I don't know about this one. Met plenty of smart people in my life, many of them unable to admit they're wrong. You can be extremely smart and an enormous. In fact, the two coincide often. Edit, lots of quibbling over what smart actually means. My only point is this: truly intelligent people are not always guaranteed to be humble. They are often arrogant or stubborn. That doesn't change the fact that they are intelligent. It's worth accepting in life there are people smarter or more capable than you who aren't good people. Virtue isn't a guarantor of excellence and vice versa. When both my girls were young, I would tell them, when you get older, you're going to reach an age where you get stupid. It happens to everyone, to some extent, when they're in high school. You and your friends will do dumb things that are unsafe or that you'll later regret doing. The thing is, because you've turned stupid, you won't realize it and you'll think that people trying to help you avoid obvious mistakes are, in fact, the dumb ones. You won't listen and you won't learn from others. If you watch your friends, you'll see some of them go through this change starting around 8th grade. Eventually you and your friends will grow out of it, we all do, typically when you're in your early 20s. One day, when my older daughter was a freshman in high school, she came home and said to me, "Dad, you were right, some of my friends really have gotten stupid. They do some really dumb stuff and won't listen when I try to help them." To her credit, she applies herself and is one of the most responsible kids I've ever seen. Added later, "Thank you very much for the gold. While I do appreciate the gesture, I would urge you, next time, to instead spend the money in support of a worthwhile cause."